Hello, second years, how are you? So we're just going to have a little look here at some milk creations. Now I know some of you have looked at this already and some of you are looking at it for the first time. So we're just going to start off and we're going to have a little look at cream and butter and yogurt. Now I know my class have looked a little bit at cream and butter and we haven't touched on yogurt. And the other class, Miss Cowan's class, may have looked at all three. So we're just going to have another little look at them again. Now there are 43 slides in this, so during the course of the next week, you are going to have to take these slides down. Now, some slides won't be applicable, and you'll know them as we go through them now, but you'll take down the slides into your little copybooks and then you'll be able to upload them so that we can check that you have your notes popped into your copybooks nice and neatly and tidily. And if there are any questions, please just contact myself or Miss Cowan at any time on the Google Classroom and we'll be able to answer your query. Okay, so we're here all the time, so please just get in touch with us if there's any problems or if there's something, or if we're going too fast or going too slow or you can't keep up or you can't hear us on the sound. Please give us a little message and we'll get back to you. Okay, so we're going to start off here looking at our milk creations. Now I'm just moving here to the second slide. So it just has a little look at the learning outcomes for the first part, so the cream and the butter. So being able to define cream and butter is very important. So the definition, so in terms of little short questions, knowing what is cream, what is butter. So just strip it back to the basics. You all know what cream and butter are. You've all used them before. You've had them in your fridges before. If you look in your fridge at home now, you'd probably find cream in it and butter. So just strip it back. These are all dairy products. Now, one thing I want to make very clear with you is even though cream and butter and cheese and yogurt, they're all dairy products, they do not all belong on the dairy shelf of the food pyramid because they all have different levels of nutrition. So just keep that in mind. Obviously the cream and the butter, they're going to be near the top of the food pyramid, okay, on the top two shelves, the cream on the very top shelf. And then your yogurt will be on the dairy shelf, and so will your cheese. So just watch that. And you also need to be careful of when you're buying yogurt. Some yogurts have a lot of calories and they're very, very sweet and they have a lot of sugar added to them, and some of them are much more healthy. So you need to use your discretion when you're buying yogurt as well. It's one of these tricky little things because yogurt sometimes can be more of a dessert than anything else. So you just need to be aware of the fat and sugar content in the yogurt and make up your mind then, should it be on the dairy shelf or should it be on the top shelf? Is it more of a dessert like these flake yogurts and dairy milk yogurts where you have chocolate pieces in them and things like that? So you have to use your discretion there. So really it's an interesting chapter because it's something that we use and we deal with every day. So we want to kind of strip it back, look behind the label in the fridge and look behind the label that's on your butter pat or your cream carton and see, well, where does it actually come from and how is it made? Okay, so they all start off with the basic milk. Okay, so that's what you need to be aware of. And from your last chapter on milk, because it's completely linked, when you leave your milk in a glass, the cream will rise to the top. And it's that cream that's at the top of the milk that is used to make your cream and it's used to make your butter. Okay, so it's the cream on the top of the milk that's used to make your cream and your butter. So then we look at the nutritive value. The types, there's so many different types. The factors to consider when buying and storing. Now, some of these we just go through very quickly because I'll give you a chance to take them down in your own time, okay? And some of them don't need a lot of explanation, okay? Right, so obviously you don't need to take a slide like that down, brainstorm, because that's if we were in class, we would be brainstorming and looking at different types, and maybe over the Christmas you had maybe some cream with flavorings like Bailey's or Brandy's cream, which is like a flavoring that might be added, and then you put that on your Christmas pudding. So there's lots of different variations, and particularly at this time of year. Okay, so what is cream? It's the fat that rises to the top of the milk. So really, it's just that fat that's used to make the cream that's at the top of the milk. The cream or the fat, same thing, that rises to the top of the milk is what's used to make your cream. Okay, so for that reason, it's very high in fat, and as a result, high in calories. Okay, so you need to be aware if you're on a low-fat diet or a low-calorie diet, maybe by your doctor, you need to be aware of what type of cream you would be choosing, okay, because they all have different fat contents. Okay, and then just looking at butter, then we're bringing the two along together. It's made from the cream of the milk again. So it's that cream that's at the top, the fat that's at the top of the milk is what's used to make the cream, and now the butter as well. So it's churned, okay, and the fat globules stick together when it's churned, and that's what makes your butter. Really, there are two ingredients in butter, and that is cream and salt, okay. So that's something that you just need to be aware of. Really, it's just real butter has cream and salt in it. And there are lots of variations now on real butter for healthier lifestyles. But the real butter is cream and salt. Okay. And actually over Christmas, my mother-in-law's mom actually was telling me that she was given a gift of a butter churn for Christmas. So she went out to the yard because they live on a dairy farm, and she brought in the milk and she churned it and she made her own butter. And then the liquid that was left over, of course, is called buttermilk. So she used the liquid that was left over, the buttermilk, she drained it away, and you'll see it there in the last point, and she used that then to make soda bread with her bread soda. Because the buttermilk is acid, and she made beautiful soda bread, and she said she ate every bit of it up herself. Normally she wouldn't, but of course at the minute she's the only one in the house, but she said she ate it all up and she thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's just an everyday example of what we can do at home. Okay, so again, you don't need to take down a slide like that. So the nutritive value. So of course, we're going to look at protein, fat, carbohydrate, vitamins, minerals, and water, as we always do for any nutritional value of any product. So we're looking here, the main things here are the fat. It's a high level of saturated, and that's the nasty fat that can clog arteries. Okay, so just to be very aware of that. And as a result, then we have fat-soluble vitamins A and D there. So where you will find fat, whether it's good or bad fat, you will find fat-soluble vitamins A and D. Okay, and a little bit of calcium there we see for the bones and the teeth. So always linking your nutrient and its function. Always linking. So if you're asked to explain the importance of something in the diet or to evaluate the nutritive value of something in the diet, you always give the function. Okay, and then just looking at butter. So again, high level of saturated fat, and there's a particular type of fatty acid here called butyric acid. So it would be important that you wrote that in a different color pen. Okay, and again, you have a little bit of lactose, so we're bringing that from the milk. Okay, and then vitamins A and D again, of course. Vitamin A for our eyesight, if you want to write that in, and D for our bones and teeth. Okay, so next have a little look here at the types of cream. So we have standard, double, low fat. Then we have different variations now, like sour cream and creme fraiche, and then we have aerosol, which is your squirty cream that sometimes you'd see people putting on top of hot chocolate. So your standard cream, really it's the fat that differentiates the cream, the fat content. So 30 to 40% fat in standard cream. Double cream has 48. Okay, so it's quite thick. Low fat cream then you can get has about 30% fat. Then sour cream and creme fraiche have a different culture. So sometimes I know I would put sour cream or creme fraiche on top of maybe a chili con carne or chili tacos. Okay, I would put a sour cream or a creme fraiche there, and it just cools it down. And they're also used for dips and for dressings as well. And then the aerosol cream is quick and convenient, and that keeps in your fridge for quite a long time. It doesn't go off as quickly as the others. Okay, so that's our types of cream there. Okay, so it's important to know the types of cream and just to know really the fat content of each. Okay. Now just moving to the next slide there. Freeze on me. Okay, so the types of butter. So we have sweet cream butter, right? So that's really our regular butter. And salt is added, and it's 82% fat. So for something to be technically labelled butter in Ireland, it has to have at least 80% fat. So there's 82% fat there in our regular run-of-the-mill butter, our hard butter. Now, I'm not talking about Flora spreads here. I'm not talking about Dairy Gold or any of those. I'm talking about good hard butter block, okay? So Kerrygold or one of those brands. Unsalted butter then we sometimes use for baking. It comes in a silver packet, but it has no salt added. But it's the same as the other one, but it's used mainly for sweet dishes, I would say, as well. I would use it for making things like truffles and chocolate dishes, maybe chocolate fondant or something like that. Low-fat butter then has about 40%, so half the fat. And then you can get spreads. And the spreads would have more mono unsaturated fat and poly unsaturated fat, so they are healthier, and they are a healthier alternative for someone who has high cholesterol or heart disease. So they would have more oil in them rather than the cream. Okay. Now, so we'll move on. We don't have live samples at the minute, obviously, because we're remotely learning. So buying cream, so buy in small amounts, check the date stamp on the packaging and ensure the packaging isn't damaged. So talking about the product itself, and don't forget to notice the packaging, the date, and that it isn't damaged. Storing it in a fridge. Okay, and don't store near strong smelling foods because it does absorb the smell. And butter again, it's the same 3 steps. Small amounts, check the date stamp on the packaging and ensure it's not damaged. Okay, and your regular butter is the yellow, I'm thinking of the Kerrygold or the own brand, it's the yellow foil packet. Okay, and again you store in the fridge to avoid oxidative rancidity. Now that's a new term for you, but it really means that if something is left out in the air on the table without being covered, it will react with the oxygen, oxidative rancidity. It will react with the oxygen and it will cause it to go rancid, which means to go off, and it'll get darker in colour. Remove from the fridge shortly before using to soften it and then keep it covered. Okay? Now, so let's have a look at the production here. So this is a very important aspect. Okay, so cream, so this is our butter here. Cream is pasteurized. Okay, so we know that that's our 72 degrees Celsius for 15 to 25 seconds and it's chilled. It's then churned, so cream is churned. So it's the cream on top of the milk that's churned. The fat sticks together. Then the buttermilk is drained away and you can use that to make your soda bread, like I told you earlier on. Salt is added. And it's weighed, packed and labelled. So quite a short little production there and quite easy to remember. Okay, so now we're just coming back here then to a little bit of history and we're moving on to yogurt. So the last little part here is yogurt. So our yogurt history. It originated centuries ago among nomadic tribes in Turkey and Southeast Asia. Okay, now really for all intensive purposes, yogurt is a fermented milk. Okay, it's a fermented milk and really the yogurt industry is absolutely huge because of this surge, I suppose, in recent years on healthy eating. Yogurt, the dairy industry really started to come. They really went to town really on yogurts because they developed so many new yogurts and different types of yogurts, and really this industry has benefited from the health